Dr. Scaff is a well-known cardiologist, author, lecturer, race organizer, and is widely recognized as the father of the Honolulu Marathon. Born in New York City in 1935, he did his residency in Hawaii following a stint in the Philippines as a member of the U.S. Public Health Service, followed by his residency in internal medicine and fellowship in cardiology in California. Finally returning to Honolulu to begin his private practice in 1969. As a pioneer and visionary, Dr. Scaff was one of the first physicians to prescribe running as therapy for heart disease and directing the first outpatient cardiac rehabilitation program in the islands. Since no American had run a marathon after a heart attack, he joined the American Medical Joggers Association in Boston in April 1973 and began his research in this aspect of running as a lecturer and completing his first marathon as well. At that time, physicians of the group had asked him if he could create a marathon in Honolulu. With this, they could organize a meeting, attracting runners, and make it a tax-deductible business expense. Upon his return, Dr. Scaff contacted Tom Ferguson, president of the Mid-Pacific Roadrunners Club, who indicated that they had a 30-kilometer run on the second Sunday in December, which they could convert into a marathon. Colonel Ferguson then contacted Mayor Frank Fossey, who said that he wanted it to be the Boston Marathon of the Pacific in Viola, the emergency of the first Rim of the Pacific Marathon, co-sponsored by the American Medical Joggers Association, the City and County of Honolulu, and the Mid-Pacific Roadrunners Club, with Dr. Scaff as coordinator and director. Dr. Scaff then founded the Honolulu Marathon Clinic in 1974 as a subsidiary of the Hawaii Sports Foundation. As of this date, the Honolulu Marathon Clinic's rich history is a testament to his fierce dedication and generous spirit. Dr. Scaff has subsequently prolonged and saved many lives by combining the knowledge of cardiovascular disease long distance running. For more than 45 years, each Sunday morning, 9 months a year, he and his clinic staff continue to donate their time and expertise to encourage, train, inspire neophyte men and women athletes to do what less than 1% of the population ever attains, completion of a marathon with all its attendant benefits. In addition, Dr. Scaff's memorable achievements are: he was founder and president of the Honolulu Marathon Association from 1973 to 1981. He started the first outpatient cardiac rehabilitation program in Honolulu in 1973. Went on to train the first American with a heart attack to complete a marathon, the Honolulu Rim of the Pacific Marathon in 1973 and the Boston Marathon in 1974. Subsequently, a medical study on the benefits of recreational long-distance running by Rudy Dresseldorf and Dr. Scaff in the New York Academy of Science on metabolic adjustments to heart patients during a marathon running was recognized by the Journal of American Medical Association, like bypass surgery and other cardiovascular advancements, was one of the great cardiovascular achievements of the 20th century. He was the first physician in Hawaii to become a fellow of the American College of Sports Medicine. He was appointed the Senior Aviation Medical Examiner for the Federal Aviation Administration and subsequently by Canada and Japan. Dr. Scaff is the only physician in the United States to be simultaneously recognized as a Senior Aviation Examiner by 2 other countries. He co-founded with the Mid-Pacific Roadrunners Club the Primo 50-mile fun run in Hawaii Kai from 1976 to 1985. and later the ultra 100 mile, 100 kilometer, 50 mile, 50 kilometer, and the most popular Primo relays. He was race director and finisher of the 312 mile Great Hawaiian Foot Race in 1979, 1982, and 1985. He was co-founder and director of the President's Day Great Aloha Run from 1986 to 2002. He was director of the H3 Run, sponsored by the state of Hawaii, which was the largest first-time foot race with 17,000 entrants in 1997. Dr. Scaff has completed 40 plus marathons, 3 312 mile Great Hawaiian Foot Races, and a 50 mile run. Additionally, Dr. Scaff has written a book in 2011 titled Your First Marathon, The Last Word in Distant Running. Dr. Scaff has been recognized in our own community when he was inducted into the Honolulu Marathon Association Sports Hall of Fame in 1996, the Hawaii State Sports Hall of Fame in 2003, and named by the Hanwanji Mission of Hawaii as a Living Treasure of Hawaii in 2011. Dr. Scaff is still active, but has retired from medical practice in 2019 and continues to live with his wife, not me, Donna.
Okay. Well, it's truly an honor to be here today and to see all of you and all that has been accomplished in long distance running, and to see the worthy achievements. I stand truly humbled by those who have come up here, and those of you at least that know to me, it gives me chicken skin. I would never expect to stand in your shoes, and I'm very proud to have been able to accomplish and bring running to the forefront, not only of Hawaii, but the United States and the world in general. When I started my fellowship in internal medicine cardiology at the University of California, Irvine, in 1963, we were a very active group of cardiac fellows, and we had the first successful cardiac resuscitation that occurred in Southern California. And we were known as the jump starters. And we did a lot of publicity. Unfortunately, that person lived with chronic angina for 3 days and then died of underlying heart disease, because we didn't know that these people, some of them, needed to have a bypass, because that hadn't been invented as well. And so we were really at the forefront. So where do we go from there? Well, we go in a long way. In 1976 to 79, the American Heart Association stated that running has not been recognized to prevent or treat heart disease. Only diet, exercise, and drugs would do that. Therefore, when I was coming through the back door, you realize I was coming through with a burden, because I was considered outside. When I came to Honolulu and put my first patient in the cardiac care unit, I discharged them after 21 days. It was taken to peer review because the minimum admission was a month, and then you spend a year in bed. Nowadays, we discharge heart patients 2 to 3 days after bypass surgery, 4 to 5 days, back to work in a month, back to, and maybe a marathon in your first year of training. So, and that's where I got started, because I'd been hired as a physician who knew how to take people after a heart attack and get them back into the public. And that was literally the genesis of the Honolulu Marathon Clinic, and then normal people were welcome to attend as well, because they probably would need help, if not then, but somewhere down the road. And sure enough, they would show up by the thousands. And so we would have a large group. We were sponsored by Parks and Recreation. If those of you can remember some of the days when we'd have 4,000 runners show up to Kapolei Park just for the marathon clinic, and the police would have to shut the road down all the way out into Diamond Head. It was truly a remarkable experience. Nowadays, we don't have large clinics like that, because everybody knows somebody who's trained and knows how to run properly, and there's lots of running material available. The first year at the Honolulu Pacific Run Honolulu Marathon, we had 5 heart attack patients that we ran. The first to finish was Val Velasco, and we had 4 others. And we named him the first American with a heart attack to complete a marathon, and with that took him to run the Boston Marathon. And he was subsequently due named. With some degree of chagrin, he came up because I'd known him quite well as a piano player, and I'd spent a lot of time with him, and he came up and said, Dr. Scaff, I'm not the first American with a heart attack to complete a marathon. I said, what? He said, no, I'm a green card, and I'm Filipino. So I was faced, either we could go look for the second one, we had 4 others, and certainly one of them would be an American citizen. Or we could pick up and move to the Philippines and start over there and say, but he elected to be the first American where he stands today. We are the runningest state in the nation, and races have changed. I know that the fast runners sometimes worry because they see the slower runners at the back of the pack. But the back of the pack is what pays the bills. And nowadays, they're the ones that provide the impetus. After all, if you have a mother who goes out and runs with her child at the age of 7 or 8, and the kid shows interest in long distance running, she probably will support that. And that builds the base so that we'll have more good runners at the base and all the way up as they work their way up. And so we have a lot going for us here, and we will continue to do that. And it's something that needs to be duly recognized. For example, back when we had the first Honolulu Marathon, we had only had 15 or 20 women runners. Now the field, the marathons throughout the United States, nearly half of them are over half women. That means we have races with 5,000 to 10,000 women starting. That's amazing. It's just unbelievable. If you could sit in the time capsule and go back and say, this is going to happen, because we came to Honolulu and started a marathon, I just said, no way. I'd pick up my shirt and I'd run into the corner and I'd just disappear. I said, this isn't going to happen. But it has happened, and it's people like you that made it happen. So all I can do is thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support from the top to the bottom. We'll be down in the clinic on Sundays if you have somebody that's thinking of starting. I hope Carol Kai continues her Great Aloha run. That's a good run race for beginners. There are a lot of other great events that PAC puts on good races. Just remember, as we start showing up with thousands of people, the cars start to honk their horns. So, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
My name is Jim Branch. By the way, I stood in honorably for Donna Scaff this evening, if you didn't notice. And I've also been asked to pass the trophy to Dr. Scaff, and I did that now.